God's chosen one. Stop and hear this, because this is not random. Before your lungs ever inhaled, for the first time, before any doctor cut the cord, before your mother even knew there was life inside her, heaven had already moved. A decree went forth from the eternal throne. Send an angel. Assign one to this life. Waste no time. You were not born alone. You did not enter this world as an unguarded soul. Before you had a name written on paper, you had a name known in heaven. And beside that name was an order to assign a divine guardian to you. Not a generic angel, not one on rotation, but one specifically chosen for you. You were not an accident. You were an assignment, and your angel has never left your side. Even now, as you hear these words, that presence is still standing near, silent, steadfast, loyal, and more than anything, authorized. The angel assigned to you is not a passive observer. They are a warrior, a defender, a witness to your entire life through light and shadow alike. Those moments in your past that you chalked up to luck, the accident you missed, the wrong person you avoided, the destructive path you turned from just in time, that wasn't luck. That was interception, divine interference, the unseen sword of your angel blocking what hell sent to kill you. That angel was doing their job, protecting you, by any means necessary. Heaven speaks clearly through the voice of God in the book of Exodus, chapter 23, verse 20. Behold, I send an angel before you to guard you on the way and to bring you to the place that I have prepared. Let that settle in your spirit. Guard you on the way, not just the righteous, polished, obedient path, but the broken, rebellious, confused, painful way too. Even when you got lost, your angel never did. When you wandered, they followed, because their assignment was you, not your performance, not your perfection, just you. That's why you've always felt different. That's why the warfare started before you could speak, because darkness saw the glow on your life and knew, this one has backup. You have been marked since birth, and what's marked by heaven must be monitored by hell. The pressure wasn't proof of your weakness. It was confirmation of your power. The enemy didn't wait for you to mature. He tried to destroy you while you were still a child, while you were still figuring out who you were. But he failed, because the angel assigned to you never blinked. They covered you through every silent battle, through every night terror, through every childhood wound, through every near breakdown. And here you are, still standing, still chosen, still breathing, still protected. Don't ignore those whispers in your spirit, the ones that kept you from replying to that text, going to that place, trusting that person. That wasn't just your gut. That was often your angel, gently redirecting your path. You've had moments where you thought, something told me not to go. Chosen one. That something was someone assigned to you before your first breath. Even now, as your heart begins to burn and your spirit stirs, this is not just emotion. This is activation. The angel who has walked beside you from the womb is witnessing this moment with you. They know this isn't just another message. It's a divine reminder, a checkpoint, a heavenly recalibration, because the next phase of your purpose is unfolding and your angel's role is about to intensify. You have never been unguarded. Even when people left, even when friends betrayed you, Even when family didn't understand you, you were never alone. You were carried, watched, guarded by one whose eyes never sleep, one whose loyalty does not waver. Don't minimize your life. Don't underestimate your impact. You were born into war, and for that reason, you were born with covering. You have been escorted through fire, and there are still flames ahead, but heaven has already accounted for it. You are not walking into the next season unarmed. Let this word settle deep. You have never been alone. Not for one breath. Not for one step. And you never will be, because the angel assigned to you is still on duty. If this resonates with your spirit, comment the number 1441 below, a prophetic act, declaring that you know your path has been guarded from the very beginning. 1441 is your reminder. You've been protected going in, and you'll be protected coming out. And if you haven't yet subscribed, like, and share this message with someone who needs to know they've never been alone either. This isn't just a video. This is a divine moment. You need to understand something that hell has tried to keep you from knowing your entire life. Your angel was not randomly assigned. There was no lottery in heaven. No spinning wheel. No coincidence. Your angel was chosen, trained, and given your name before you ever took form. You were not handed off to whoever was available. You were entrusted to one who had been prepared for you. Because you are not ordinary. Your protection was never meant to be ordinary. You are a divine operation, a carefully designed part of a larger mission, and heaven does not play dice with missions. Your angel was not only informed of your purpose, they were aligned with it. Their strength is matched to your battles. Their insight was shaped for the terrain you would walk through. That's why some of the things that should have broken you didn't. The one walking beside you had already seen it coming. The betrayal, the loss, it might have surprised you, but not your angel. Heaven never panics. God never sends his chosen into the battlefield unaccompanied. That's why no matter how close the attack got, it never consumed you. There are things your angel knows about you that you haven't even discovered yet. They know the strength under your silence. They know your calling, even when you doubt it. They know the destiny hovering over you, even when you're begging God to take the pressure away. They weren't assigned because you're weak, but because of what you carry. That's why your life has been intense from the beginning. Look back. How early did the warfare start? How often have you felt watched, misunderstood, spiritually targeted? That's not imagination. That's resistance. Because when a soul is born with a divine assignment, darkness recognizes the light before you do. And heaven, in its wisdom, assigns a warrior to walk beside that light from the very first moment. The ancient words recorded in the book of Psalms, chapter 34, verse 7, still echo with power. The angel of the Lord encamps around those who fear him and delivers them. That is your reality. You have been encamped, covered, delivered. You may not have seen the battle, but you've lived through the aftermath of being spared. That near miss, that cancelled trip, that breakup, that hurt, but saved your destiny. That wasn't intuition, it was interception. Your angel is not a passive presence with soft wings. No, this one is battle-trained, equipped, fearless. They've seen the blueprint of your life and don't flinch when storms come. When ambushes rise, they don't retreat. They intercept. You keep walking while they war in silence. You've asked why things haven't worked, why some doors stay shut. The answer: your angel is protecting your future. What looks like rejection is often redirection. What feels like delay is divine interference. Your angel doesn't follow your emotions. They follow heaven's instructions. When you cry, they stay on task. When you settle for less, they don't. They only move in step with heaven. So, yes, it feels like war, but it's war for you, not against you. There are moments you were ready to destroy everything and something stopped you. A voice, a pause, an unease. That wasn't just your conscience. That was your covering. Your angel knows when it's not your time. They know when someone or something is a trap. They know how to slow you down before you crash. And they do it all without seeking credit. You don't need to see them to be covered by them. They don't need thanks. They need your obedience. The more you obey God, the more freedom they have to move. But rebellion complicates the battle. They still protect, but the terrain gets heavier. That's why heaven demands your surrender. Not for control, but for protection. The more you submit, the more your angel can execute heaven's plan for your life. That's why some people disappeared. That's why betrayal had to happen. It wasn't punishment, it was preservation. Your angel isn't babysitting you. They are escorting you to purpose. They don't pamper, they prepare. When it's time to rise, they disturb your comfort. They strip away false alignments. They make it impossible to stay where you don't belong. You're not crazy. You're not cursed. You're covered, assigned, and even in your lowest valley, you are being carried. Not because you're fragile, but because you are too valuable to be dropped. And when you finally reach the place God destined for you, your angel will still be there, silent, faithful, and undefeated in your defense. There's something you've sensed but haven't been able to explain. Moments when the atmosphere shifts around you for no clear reason. Times when people react to you with fear, awe, or discomfort. Even though you said nothing, patterns that keep repeating in your life, closed doors, sudden exits, divine detours you didn't ask for. You're not imagining any of it. What you're feeling is real. These aren't coincidences. These are proofs of divine orchestration. Your assigned angel has been at work all along. You've experienced delay, but it wasn't sabotage. It was strategy. You felt tension, but it wasn't rejection. It was redirection. And most importantly, you've walked through places that looked normal, but were in fact war zones in the spirit, where your angel was actively shifting outcomes before you even knew danger was near. Chosen one, listen. There are patterns heaven repeats for the sake of your protection. You've been asking, why does this keep happening? The same kinds of people show up in your life and disappear. You prepare for moments that vanish without warning. You invest in things that suddenly collapse. You almost step into rooms where your spirit feels blocked, and then, somehow, you're removed from the situation entirely. These aren't accidents. They're strategic disruptions. Heaven sees what you cannot. Your angel is clearing paths, even when it feels like you're being denied one. There are roads you were never meant to walk, conversations you were never meant to finish, deals you were never meant to close. And before you could plant your feet too deep into places God never called you to be, your angel stepped in and moved the timeline. You may have felt frustrated. You may have mourned what you lost. But what you didn't realize is that every no you received may have actually saved your destiny. That heartbreak, that rejection, that almost, it was mercy, covered in disappointment, wrapped in delay, but soaked in divine love. You keep thinking it's spiritual attack sometimes. Yes, but more often than you know, it's divine restraint. You've been spared over and over again from relationships, opportunities, and environments that looked like blessings, but were, in truth, carefully disguised traps. Heaven is not in a rush, and your angel doesn't follow your panic. You may be desperate for movement, but your angel isn't desperate. They're disciplined. They're not emotional, they're assigned. They don't answer to your feelings, they respond to heaven's instruction. That's why your life doesn't always move at your preferred pace, because heaven is setting the rhythm of your breakthrough. And here's what's wild. Your angel has already stepped into moments ahead of you. There are rooms they've already entered, conversations they've already shifted, contracts they've already cancelled, relationships they've already dismantled before you even saw their true intention, because your future is not being left to chance. It's being guarded in layers. The ancient words recorded in Psalm 91, verse 11 remind us, "For he will command his angels concerning you, to guard you in all your ways." And you didn't lose time. You were being protected from wasting it. You weren't being left behind. You were being hidden until the time was right. You weren't overlooked. You were reserved. And the patterns, the repetition, the cycle that's been driving you crazy, that's your signal that something divine is still under construction. Your angel is still at work, still adjusting details, still reordering what man keeps trying to mess up. So don't resist the pattern, read it. Don't curse the delay, learn from it. You think nothing is happening because your physical eyes don't see movement. But chosen one, silence doesn't mean inactivity. Your angel is still moving things behind the veil, still whispering instructions, still stirring outcomes you haven't arrived at yet, still pushing you away from things you stubbornly think you need because they see what would have destroyed you 5 steps later. And this is where most people miss it. They call it a cycle, a curse, or bad luck. But it's none of those. It's precision. It's divine. It's protection that doesn't always feel like kindness in the moment, but in hindsight, it proves to be mercy in motion. So the next time a door closes, ask, "Was that my angel?" The next time someone leaves, ask, "What was I just spared from?" The next time you feel stuck, ask, "What is being rearranged behind the scenes?" You don't need to fear the repetition anymore. You need to discern it. Chosen one comment, "I trust heaven." This is more than a phrase. It's a prophetic act. When you write it, you're declaring that even when the plan doesn't make sense, you believe it's still divine. You choose trust over panic. You choose patience over pressure. You trust that your angel is moving, even when your eyes see no movement. Heaven hasn't failed you. It's protecting you in ways you don't yet understand. There's something you need to know, something that most overlook. Your angel doesn't only fight for your life. They also whisper to your soul. You've mistaken those quiet nudges, those sudden convictions, those split-second decisions that came out of nowhere as your own thoughts. But chosen one, you need to look again. Many of them were messages, warnings, divine redirections. When God assigned an angel to you, it wasn't just for brute protection. it was also for sacred communication. And while angels don't speak the way people do, their messages come in ways your spirit can still recognize. A sudden shift in peace, an unexplainable weight when something seems off, a gentle unrest when you try to force what isn't aligned. That's not your overthinking. That's the ministry of your angel, alerting you before your downfall begins. Your angel is heaven's alarm system in your life. Not loud, not dramatic, but precise. They don't scream. They impress. They don't argue. They stir. And if you've ever felt that strange, pressing feeling that told you, "Don't go there," or "End this now," even when everything looked fine on the outside, that was spiritual warning. And often, it was delivered through your assigned guardian. This is why your sensitivity is not a curse, it's a tool. You've been wondering why you feel so much, why you sense what others can't, why you pick up tension, disight, or danger in places where others feel nothing. It's not paranoia. It's discernment enhanced by angelic presence. Because when heaven wants to preserve you, it sharpens your senses. And when your angel is near, your soul often reacts before your mind catches up. But you've also had moments where you ignored that still voice. You reasoned it away. You called it fear. You moved forward anyway. And then you paid the price. Not because God abandoned you, but because you overrode the warning. Your angel is assigned to protect. But they're not here to control. They won't shout over your rebellion. They won't override your will. They are powerful. But they still respect the one thing: heaven never forces your choice. This is why your alignment matters. You must walk closely with God to stay tuned to the frequency your angel operates on. Their influence is constant, but your awareness isn't. That's why spiritual stillness is key. Your ability to hear their nudges depends on your willingness to quiet the noise. Too many voices drown out the whisper. Too much pride distorts the warning. As recorded by the prophet Isaiah in the scroll of ancient instruction, chapter 30, verse 21, "Your ears shall hear a word behind you, saying, 'This is the way. Walk in it.' Whenever you turn to the right or to the left, all heaven speaks. Angels guide. But the question is, are you listening? There are some regrets in your life that were avoidable if you had only paid attention. That friend you trusted too quickly. That opportunity you jumped into too fast. That decision made while anxious or lonely. And looking back, you remember that something told you not to do it. That small discomfort, that check in your spirit. You couldn't explain it, but it was there. That was them, your angel, still trying to protect you, even from yourself. Chosen one. The battle isn't just external, it's internal. Sometimes your angel is fighting demons. Other times, they're fighting your impulsiveness, your impatience, your need for validation, your tendency to settle for less because you're tired of waiting. That's why their whispers matter. Because your downfall rarely begins with disaster, it begins with a decision. Heaven's strategy isn't always explosive. Sometimes it's a pause. Sometimes it's a cancelled plan. A heavy feeling you can't shake. Your angel may not stop the storm, but they'll alert you long before it hits if you're willing to listen. But if you keep moving through red flags with closed eyes and deaf ears, you invite spiritual consequences that were never meant to be yours. Your angel doesn't operate on fear. They operate on foresight. And foresight is not for comfort. it's for prevention. You don't need to understand every warning to respect it. You're not called to figure everything out just to obey. God didn't assign you an angel to rescue you from recklessness. He assigned one because there's a path, a purpose, and a precise alignment and dangers that only obedience avoids. Some around you didn't listen, and they paid the cost. They bypassed the check. Now they walk in cycles that could have been broken with one moment of stillness. That won't be you. You've come too far, survived too much. Your angel has covered too many battles for you to fall now just because you won't pause to pray. You've already heard the whispers. You've felt the warnings. Now it's time to honor them. Your discernment is sharp. It's time to trust it. Your angel hasn't stopped speaking. The real question is, have you stopped listening? The enemy knew you had backup long before you did. Hell took note the moment your angel was assigned. From your first breath, darkness recognized what most people around you didn't. You were sent here with reinforcements. You weren't just born, you were launched into hostile territory with heaven's backing. And the resistance you felt, the rejection, the early warfare, it wasn't random. It was a reaction. When you walk with angelic covering, your presence disturbs demonic patterns. That's why you've never fit in. That's why certain people couldn't stand to be around you for too long. That's why your peace disrupted their chaos. Your light irritated their darkness. They didn't hate you. They hated what surrounded you. The presence, the protection, the anointing. You're not just a threat because of who you are. You're a threat because of who walks with you. And listen carefully. This war didn't start when you prayed. It started when you were born, before you said your first word. Spiritual opposition was already forming against you. Hell doesn't wait for you to realize your purpose before trying to destroy it. The enemy wanted to kill your calling while it was still in seed form, but heaven didn't leave you vulnerable. Your angel was sent not just to follow you, but to fight for you. You've survived things others didn't, and some of it you don't even remember because your angel fought battles you never saw. Silent interventions, nighttime warfare, distractions rerouted, accidents avoided, relationships dismantled before they could damage you. Even in moments when you drifted from God, your angel stayed on post because your calling didn't expire just because your obedience did. People wonder how you made it through, what should have destroyed you. And if you're honest, you wonder too. But it's time you realize you've been covered all along. That time your car spun and didn't crash. That moment you almost said yes to a relationship that would have pulled you into darkness. That strange gut feeling that saved you from making a permanent decision in a temporary season, that wasn't luck. That was loyalty from the one who walks with you. It was declared in the first letter of Peter, chapter 1, verse 5. You are shielded by God's power until the coming of the salvation that is ready to be revealed in the last time. The devil is frustrated with your survival. He thought if he could get to your mind, he could take your soul. He thought if he could delay your breakthrough, you would give up. But what he didn't account for was your covering, your assigned angel that didn't leave. Even in your rebellion, your angel isn't moved by how off track you've been. They move by heaven's command and are still executing the plan. If only you knew how many times your name came up in spiritual places, not because of how loud you are, but because of how chosen you are. That's why the warfare has been relentless. It's not a punishment. It's proof. Proof that what walks with you is real. Proof you've been marked. Proof. You're dangerous to darkness. You don't need to fight for your significance. Heaven already declared it. Your protection proves it. Angels don't guard what isn't valuable. They're not assigned to distractions. They're assigned to destiny. And you are still carrying yours. So, if you felt overlooked, hear this. Heaven has not overlooked you. Your angel has not missed a moment. If people misunderstood your quiet strength, mocked your sensitivity, tried to dim your light, remember, even Jesus was hated because of the presence he carried. You're in good company. You've been called to disrupt darkness, and darkness knows it. And yes, this message is reaching you now for a reason. Not to flatter you, not to entertain you, but to remind you, this season isn't casual. You're moving into a space where you must be aware of what walks with you. It's no longer enough to survive unknowingly. It's time to walk consciously covered, to wake up knowing your presence shifts rooms not because of you, but because of what surrounds you. If this speaks to your spirit, don't keep it to yourself. Like this message, not as a reaction, but as a declaration that you know you're protected. Share it with someone questioning their worth or sanity. Let them know they are not alone. And if this kind of word feeds your soul, consider subscribing. This is more than content, it's alignment. And if led, partner with this mission by sowing into what feeds you, not out of pressure but purpose. You help carry the fire into more lives. You are not weak. You are not forgotten. You are protected. You are assigned. You are covered. Walk like it. There is something sacred about your origin that even you haven't fully grasped. You weren't just born, you were sent. Heaven didn't wait until you were old enough to pray to begin protecting you. No. Before you opened your eyes, a command was already issued. Guard this one. Do not leave their side. Your angel didn't arrive late. They were already waiting. From your first heartbeat, you were covered. Before your voice could form words, Heaven's voice was already speaking over your life. And that angel, they haven't moved. Not once. Through every mistake, every wrong turn. Every night you cried yourself to sleep, feeling unseen, they stayed. Not because you earned it, but because you were marked. There are moments you've forgotten who you are. You've looked at your reflection and seen only weakness, only failure, only what's missing. But your angel doesn't see what you see. They've seen what you carry. They've seen your purpose raw and untouched. They've watched you wrestle with battles few understand, yet never left. Because their assignment is not to your perfection, it's to your potential. And still, the enemy has tried everything to silence that truth. Have you noticed how often confusion surrounds your identity? How often you've felt lost? Even in the midst of others, how often you've second-guessed your worth. That's not by accident. The enemy always attacks clarity, because when a chosen one knows who they are, they become unstoppable. So he sends lies. He sends people who mishandle you. He sends environments that mute your voice. But your angel, your shield, stands between you and complete collapse. The enemy can't stop your destiny, so he tries to make you walk away from it. That's why you've battled fatigue, discouragement, spiritual numbness. But even when you're silent, your angel isn't. They've stood before heaven, bearing your name. They've pleaded for your strength. They've warred on your behalf. And the only reason you haven't lost your mind in some seasons is because your angel didn't stop fighting when you stopped feeling. The truth is, Some of the greatest victories in your life were invisible to you. You don't even know what you've been spared from. What should have happened but didn't. What nearly touched you but failed. You've outlived attacks meant to kill you, and many of them never even reached your awareness. We are reminded through the words spoken in Psalm 121, verse 7. The Lord will keep you from all harm. He will watch over your life. End. That promise has never expired, and your angel has been part of its fulfillment. That's why gratitude is your weapon. Not just for the blessings you can count, but for the countless ones you can't see. For every unseen interception, for every silent shield, for every invisible rescue your angel carried out without fanfare. And right now, as you listen, there's a shift taking place, not just around you, but within you. You are awakening to what's been with you all along. You are remembering who you are, not who life tried to shape you into, not who trauma tried to define, but who heaven declared before you were born. Your angel isn't bored with your life. They haven't given up. In fact, they are more active now than ever, because something in the spirit is aligning. You may feel tired, but they are not. You may feel uncertain, but they are sure. You may be questioning your worth, but they know your weight in the spiritual realm. This is not the time to shrink. This is not the time to apologize for your anointing. You were born to carry glory. You were born to shift atmospheres. And your angel wasn't assigned to someone average. They were assigned to someone dangerous to darkness. There are things your angel is preparing you for that your mind hasn't even conceived. Doors you're about to walk through. Territories you're about to claim. Voices you're about to find. It's all bigger than you think, and that's why the warfare has been so specific. But it's also why the protection has been so precise. You didn't just survive, you were kept. And if you could see what your angel sees, you'd stop questioning whether you're ready. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are becoming. Heaven has been patient with your process. Your angel has stayed faithful in the delay. And now it's time for you to align your faith with what has been standing beside you all along. Comment 4,411. This is not just a number. It's a confirmation, a prophetic agreement. 441. 1 is your signal to acknowledge what has guarded you since birth, not by accident, but by divine order. Heaven is watching. Your angel is still active. And now, so are you. There are battles you'll never know about, not because they weren't real, but because your angel won them before they ever touched your timeline. You have walked through life unaware of how many traps were set, how many ambushes were planned, how many plans of destruction were laid out with your name on them. But before they could touch your body, before they could touch your mind, before they could even reach your address, your angel intercepted them, quietly, without credit, without needing applause, without waiting for your recognition. Your life may have been painful, but it could have been far worse. There were moments when you were protected in silence, times you were shielded while sleeping, times you were redirected without knowing you were being rerouted from disaster. You think you were just lucky to miss that party, or coincidentally forgot to text back that person, or randomly didn't go to that place on that day. But luck had nothing to do with it. It was heaven's intervention. If you could see the number of dangers that were cancelled before you even became aware of them, your entire posture would shift. You'd carry your head higher, your worship deeper, your discernment sharper, because you'd realize just how watched you've been, not by spies, but by guardians, not by fear, but by divine assignment. And not just any angel, your angel, assigned, loyal, fierce, focused, and eternally committed to one thing, getting you to the place God intended. Do you remember that season when everything in your life seemed to fall apart, yet somehow you didn't? You were surrounded by stress, pain, loss, but you kept waking up. You kept breathing. You kept going. Even when your emotions were numb, you thought it was strength, but chosen one. It was covering. You thought you were barely surviving, but your angel knew you were being carried. That accident that almost happened, but didn't. That toxic friendship that ended before it could infect you further. That place you left right before the chaos broke out. You saw coincidence. Your angels saw completion of their mission. There is a kind of warfare that never announces itself. You don't feel it. You don't hear it. But your spirit senses something shifted. That's because your angel fights in silence, winning battles you'll never post about. No one will know, but heaven knows. You were meant to be taken out, but the one assigned to you said, "Not this one, not today." No, the Spirit spoke through the prophet Daniel in chapter 10, verse 12. After a silent battle in the unseen realm, do not be afraid. Since the first day that you set your mind to gain understanding and to humble yourself before your God, your words were heard, and I have come in response to them. No, heaven moves when your heart turns. Angels are dispatched while you're still trying to figure it all out, and many times they arrive before your fear even speaks. So many of the storms you think you survived by your own strength, you actually didn't survive at all. You were spared, and still, your angel doesn't ask for thanks. They don't need validation. Their loyalty isn't based on your perfection. Their obedience is to heaven's voice alone. So they stay. Even when you doubt, even when you pull away, even when you drift into silence, into sadness, into spiritual apathy, they stay. Because their mission didn't change when your mood did. You've been covered in seasons you didn't even believe in yourself. Guarded when you didn't feel worthy. Protected when you were walking directly into danger. Eyes wide open. You didn't know how close you were to destruction. But your angel did. And they fought for your life like it mattered, because it does. There are people around you who have no idea the weight you carry. They think you're quiet because you're passive. They think you're gentle because you're weak. They don't realize the kind of light you carry makes you a target in the spirit. That's why you felt drained after being around certain crowds. That's why your joy gets attacked suddenly. That's why you've had to recover from invisible wounds. But what would have broken someone else barely scratched you because of your covering. The enemy's goal has always been the same: exhaust you into silence. Wear you down until you question your assignment. But every time he's tried, your angel has stood up on your behalf. And here you are, still breathing, still chosen, still rising. You are not here because you escaped warfare. You are here because you were surrounded in it, surrounded by loyalty, surrounded by presence, surrounded by power. And no matter how ordinary your life may feel at times, make no mistake, what walks with you is supernatural. You are not surviving by chance. You are being kept by covenant, and your angel is still on post. There was a moment in your life when giving up seemed like the only option. You may not speak of it often, but it lingers in your memory, a season so dark, so heavy. You truly questioned if you could continue, whether it was a sudden loss, a betrayal that shattered your heart, a season of unbearable silence, or simply the slow erosion of hope. You came close to the edge, and yet you didn't fall. What stopped you wasn't just willpower. It wasn't just resilience. It wasn't therapy, a friend, or even a sermon. Those things helped. Yes, but something deeper, someone unseen, stood between you and that final surrender. When you couldn't hold yourself together, your angel did. You may not realize how thin the thread was that kept you from completely unraveling, but in that place, when you were numb, when the tears dried and silence was all you had left, your angel stood between you and the spirit of death. Not today, not this one, not now. You didn't just survive a dark moment. You were rescued from it. There's a sacred kind of protection that steps in when your strength is gone. That doesn't wait for you to say the right prayer or quote the right scripture. That doesn't flinch at your anger toward God, your doubts, or your distance. That protection is loyal. It's unwavering. It's assigned, and it was present the moment you said, "I can't do this anymore." And your angel didn't try to explain away your pain. They didn't need to. Their mission was not to fix your feelings, it was to preserve your life. And they did. They stood in front of what was hunting your mind. They blocked the arrows that came for your hope. And in the stillness, when all you could do was breathe, they counted every breath as proof. You're still here. Heaven is not done. And yet, even now, you wonder why that moment happened. Why you had to go through such agony. Why God allowed the pain. But chosen one, hear this. Your survival was not pointless. That battle wasn't wasted. It revealed something heaven already knew, that your story is too powerful to be silenced, that your life shakes hell when it walks in obedience, that your voice was meant to break generational chains. There are souls you haven't even met yet who are waiting on the sound of your freedom. That's why the darkness came so strong. That's why death whispered so loudly, because the enemy doesn't waste his best attacks on those with no influence. He comes hardest against those who carry fire. And you've walked through fire and still carry the flame. Your scars are not shame, they are evidence that when the weight was too heavy, something holy carried you through. That when your mind was too fragile, your angel kept watch. That when you stopped praying, someone else was standing in your place, shield drawn, sword lifted. It was spoken through the prophet Elijah's encounter and written in the first book of Kings, chapter 19, verse 5. Then he lay down under the bush and fell asleep. All at once an angel touched him and said, "Get up and eat." Of note, even the prophet wanted to die. Even the great ones collapsed under the pressure, but heaven didn't leave him there. And heaven didn't leave you. That touch in the dark, that moment of sudden clarity, that unexpected call or message at the exact second you needed it, that was no accident. That was your angel, gently restoring your will to live. Before your will caught up, God knew the battle would be too much for you alone. So he gave you help you couldn't see, but would one day feel. And now you're here, maybe not fully healed, maybe still grieving, still rebuilding, but breathing, still becoming, still protected. You didn't fail because you wanted to quit. You succeeded because you didn't. You were lifted when you couldn't lift yourself. And that's not weakness, It's proof that you are protected by something far greater than your own strength. One day, you'll tell your story. One day, you'll speak life into someone else on the edge. And when you do, you'll remember you were carried out of the fire, not by your courage, but by covenant. You have no idea how many nights your angel stood beside your bed when you didn't want to wake up in the morning. But heaven kept sending sunrise after sunrise, because you were never meant to die in that night. You were meant to rise. Every time you chose to get back up, even when no one was watching, heaven noticed. Every silent decision to keep going. Every moment you whispered, God, I'm still here. Those were acts of spiritual war. And your angel stood at your side through everyone. You've overcome more than most people know. Not just physical storms, but internal ones. Silent wars, private pain, hidden trauma. You've smiled with a shattered soul, served while empty, showed up for others when no one showed up for you. And still, you didn't quit. You have no idea how many times your angel was dispatched in direct response to your perseverance. There are moves in the Spirit that happen not when you shout, but when you endure, not when you post about your struggle, but when you walk through it without bitterness. That's when heaven leans in. That's when your angel raises their sword. Because perseverance is not passive. It's not about waiting around for a miracle. It's active resistance against the lie that you're forgotten. It's spiritual warfare in disguise. And you've been fighting back even when you didn't know it. And this is what most don't realize. You don't always have to speak to shake the heavens. Sometimes your obedience is louder than your words. And your angel responds to movement, not just noise. Every time you decided not to give in to temptation, not to reply in anger, not to walk away from your assignment, heaven moved. Even the smallest act of faith triggers movement in the unseen realm. One step in the right direction activates angelic assistance. One refusal to compromise echoes through eternity. That's why you've felt opposition in moments that looked small, because the enemy knows even a tiny act of obedience from a chosen one carries massive consequence in the Spirit. So, yes, your endurance has been a weapon. It's the thing that disrupted hell more than once. The devil didn't expect you to last this long. He was betting on your silence, on your doubt, on your disappointment. But what he didn't account for was what stood beside you when your strength failed. Your angel was there the night you almost said, I'm done. Empty. Your angel was there when the depression returned. Your angel was there when grief knocked again. And you answered with tears, not rebellion. And they are here now. Because you are still in this. Still breathing. Still pressing. Still resisting the voice that says, what's the point? Because deep down, even when it feels like nothing's changing, you know something in the Spirit is shifting. You can feel it. You can't explain it, but you know. That pressure you've been under, that unusual resistance, that strange heaviness that hits right before breakthrough, that's not punishment. That's proof that the atmosphere is moving, and your angel is already positioned for what's about to open. This isn't the time to give up. This is the time to plant your feet deeper, because what's coming requires you to be spiritually grounded, emotionally clear, mentally present. Your angel isn't preparing for your collapse. They're preparing for your elevation. But they need you awake. They need your agreement. Heaven doesn't need perfection, it needs permission. And every day you keep showing up, you're giving it. So take a moment now to remember how far you've come. Not just what you've achieved, but what you've survived. Let that silence the voice that says, "You're stuck." You are not stuck, you're being strengthened. The Apostle reminds us in his letter to the Galatians, chapter 6, verse 9, "Let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up." And that harvest isn't just reward, it's restoration. Heaven sees what you've been planting in pain, and your angel is preparing the ground for it to break through. Comment: I'm still standing. Say it as a declaration, not of pride, but of truth. Because that simple phrase carries more power than people know. It means, I've been attacked, but I'm not defeated. I've been broken, but not destroyed. I've been silent, but not abandoned. When you type those words, you speak prophetically. You confirm what the enemy tried to deny. You remind your angel you still believe the fight is worth it. It's not just a comment, it's a war cry. It's your way of saying, I'm still in the ring. I haven't surrendered. Heaven still has my yes. That kind of agreement activates angelic motion. And when heaven hears that, it moves. There are moments in your life when truth arrives not softly, but with divine precision, like a sword. Not a suggestion. This is one of those moments. You didn't stumble across this message because you were curious or bored. You were meant to hear this now. Your angel knows exactly where you are, not just physically, but spiritually. They've seen your confusion. They've watched you wrestle with doubt, identity, calling, timing. You've been in a tug of war between surrender and self-preservation, and while everyone around you sees your composure, heaven sees your tension. But there is mercy in this moment, because this word comes to realign you, not condemn you. You've delayed decisions you were supposed to make. You've postponed steps you were born to take. And the enemy has taken advantage of your hesitation. He has fed you reasons to stay where you are. You're not ready. It's too late. You missed it. But your angel hasn't moved, because your assignment hasn't been cancelled. And that's why this word is arriving now. You are not behind. You are at the brink. But brink moments are dangerous if you're distracted. You cannot afford to be spiritually passive when divine timing is calling your name. And that's what's happening now. Heaven is speaking, not in riddles, in clarity. This isn't just encouragement. This is activation. The enemy has worked overtime to bury your boldness under cycles of delay. He wants you to settle, to rationalize, to live cautiously instead of courageously. But your angel has been disrupting those patterns, fighting through atmospheres to keep you from drifting too far. That unexplained stirring, that discomfort, that restlessness you can't shake, it's divine. It's your angel, making sure you don't forget what heaven said about you. And now here comes the uncomfortable truth. Delayed obedience is still disobedience. God isn't asking for your perfection, but He is requiring your participation. What you've been avoiding is what you were anointed for. And your angel is ready, but they need your agreement. You've asked for signs. You've begged for confirmations. This is one, as Jesus Himself declared in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 24, verse 46. Blessed is that servant whom his master finds doing so when he comes. This is not the hour to look busy. It's the hour to be about the assignment, to be caught in motion, not in regret. And here's what few people will tell you. Your angel cannot override your free will. They can war, they can whisper, they can warn, but they cannot force. The breakthrough you're waiting for requires a step that only you can take. Stop waiting to feel ready. You will never feel perfectly prepared for a destiny this weighty. It's not about readiness, it's about obedience. The resources will meet you on the road. The clarity will rise when you walk forward. But staying still guarantees spiritual stagnation. Your angel is not on pause, but if you are, they're fighting battles to protect a version of you that has yet to show up. And that can't go on forever. There is such a thing as spiritual expiration. Grace is abundant, but it's not always indefinite. Delays come with a cost. Some doors don't stay open forever. Some windows, once missed, require entire cycles to return. Don't assume the opportunity will wait for you while you remain undecided. This word is an alarm in the spirit. The clock hasn't run out, but the grace window is narrowing. Your angel knows what's at stake, and they're pulling this word into your ears because mercy is still within reach. You're not disqualified. You're not done. But the hesitation must break. The old patterns must die, and your yes must become immediate. If you know this is for you, if your heart is burning right now, don't just sit in silence. Engage. Obey. Move. Let this message be a line in the sand. You don't need another confirmation. You need to make the choice. Say yes to the call. Return to the altar. Rekindle the fire. Heaven is waiting. Your angel is watching. And if this message is stirring you deeply, don't scroll past it like another video. Like this message as a public declaration that you recognize the timing of God. Share it with someone you know has been battling delay. They need this fire too. Subscribe if you haven't, to stay connected to the sound that keeps your spirit awake. And if this word has fed your soul, consider sowing into the ground that's feeding you, not out of pressure, but out of partnership. Your giving helps carry this prophetic fire to more people, just like you ones who are on the edge of obedience, needing that one word to pull them back into alignment. You are not average. You are not replaceable. You are not late. You are chosen, and your time is now. There are moments when the very help God has assigned to your life becomes the very thing you resist, not intentionally, not out of rebellion, but because we don't always recognize divine help when it doesn't come the way we expect. Your angel has been dispatched to protect, to shield, to redirect. But when your plans collide with heaven's protection, friction happens. And here's the truth most won't tell you. Sometimes, you're the one resisting your own rescue. God sends a warning, and you call it fear. He sends a delay, and you call it disappointment. He blocks a connection, and you call it loneliness. But what if what you're calling interference is actually intervention? You've been praying for God to open the right doors, but when He closes the wrong ones, you get frustrated. You ask for protection. But when He shields you from what you want, you question His love. And all the while, your angel is working not against you, but around your resistance. There are moments when you think God is silent, but it's not silence, it's restraint. It's your angel holding the line, blocking a decision that would pull you into warfare you weren't built to endure. And yet, you keep pushing, keep knocking, keep demanding access to places heaven is trying to pull you away from. This isn't condemnation, it's clarity. The danger isn't in being unaware, the danger is in being unwilling to listen. Heaven is patient, but not passive. And your angel can only move in the direction you're willing to agree with. They are not assigned to bless your stubbornness. They are assigned to enforce your obedience. The resistance you feel isn't always demonic. Sometimes it's divine. You've said, "Why won't this work? Why won't this relationship go forward? Why does every time I try to fix it, it breaks again?" Because it was never supposed to hold you. You think it's the enemy blocking you, but sometimes it's your angel. And you've been casting out what you should have been surrendering to. The Apostle Paul, after encountering resistance in his plans, wrote these words found in Acts chapter 16, verse 7. They tried to enter Bithynia, but the Spirit of Jesus would not allow them to. Oh, even a man as anointed and strategic as Paul had to yield because even good plans, if outside of God's timing, can become dangerous. Not every detour is punishment. Some are protection. Some are preparation. But we fight it. We spiritualize stubbornness. We anoint delay as an attack when it's really God's mercy at work. We bind what we should bless and bless what we should be running from. And in the process, we frustrate our angel's ability to guide us. You've been warned more times than you realize. That uneasy feeling before making a choice, that dream that shook you, that friend who said something that pierced a little too deep, that moment where peace left, but you ignored it. Those weren't small things. They were divine alerts. And when you ignore the warning long enough, you end up praying for God to fix what He tried to help you avoid. This isn't to shame you. This is to wake you. Your angel is still ready, still on post, still willing to block what needs blocking, protect what needs protecting, release what needs releasing. But it will require your agreement, not just your words, your willingness to stop pushing doors that heaven locked. Because every time you disobey the nudge, you delay the promise, not forever, but long enough to reroute, long enough to cycle, long enough to hurt more than you needed to. And you've already wasted enough time. There's no shame in yielding. There's power in it. You don't have to force what's from God. And if you have to beg it to stay, it probably wasn't assigned to you in the first place. Peace is the signature of divine alignment. And your angel is not chaotic. They are clear. So the question isn't whether they're still fighting for you. The question is, are you still fighting them? It's time to stop resisting what was sent to help you. Your future requires surrender. Your protection depends on agreement. And your next breakthrough may be on the other side of a door you're still trying to keep open. Lay it down. Walk away from what heaven has exited. Release what's already been removed in the spirit. And trust that what's for you won't need force to remain. Your angel knows what's coming. Your obedience makes room for it. And your surrender activates everything. Heaven is waiting to release. There are moments when the atmosphere around you shifts, and not because anything changed on the outside, but because something unseen is responding to alignment right now, in this very moment. Something is stirring in the spiritual realm around you. Your angel knows it. Your spirit senses it. And though you may not have the language for it, your soul is catching up to what heaven already started. This isn't imagination. This is real. For too long, you've underestimated the spiritual weight you carry. You've doubted the significance of your presence. But the truth is, your existence alone disrupts darkness. You carry light. You carry purpose. You carry authority even when you don't feel it. Your angel was not assigned to someone random. They were assigned to a soul who shifts things just by staying obedient. And now, obedience is calling again, not to do something loud, not to perform, but to respond, because something is happening right now and you're a part of it. In this very moment, angels are being activated, assignments are being stirred. The spirit realm is moving, not because of emotion, but because of divine timing. And you were meant to bear witness to this movement. The fact that you're still here after everything you've faced is not just proof of survival, it's a sign of spiritual convergence. What you prayed for long ago is meeting the preparation you didn't know was happening. And your angel has stayed in position, clearing the way, holding the line, watching for this moment. You were never meant to walk blindly. You were always meant to walk, led. There have been times when you thought heaven had gone quiet, but the silence wasn't absence, it was strategy. The stillness wasn't delay, it was divine sequencing. God wasn't ignoring you. Your angel wasn't inactive. They were waiting for the moment when spirit, soul, and timing would all say, now, Elov, and now is here. This is not just another day. This is not just another word. Something is breaking. Something is aligning. Something is unlocking. The tension you felt lately hasn't been oppression. It's been the weight of something ancient waking up inside you. Your assignment, your purpose, your agreement. Chosen one. You're standing in a spiritual window. It's not dramatic. It's not flashy. But it's powerful. And only the spiritually aware will perceive it. Something is shifting, not just around you, but in you. And heaven is watching for your response. Will you ignore it? Dismiss it? Let it pass by like another moment? Or will you mark it? The prophet Habakkuk wrote down a vision he didn't fully understand, but he captured it because heaven told him it was for an appointed time. This moment is like that. You may not fully grasp it now, but you'll look back and realize that was the turning point. That was the yes that shifted things. That was the moment your angel moved from standing still to moving forward. That was when everything changed. So, what do you do in a moment like this? You agree. Not loudly, not dramatically, but intentionally. You say, yes, Lord. And you say, I recognize this moment. You say, I align. And you mark it with a prophetic act, not to impress anyone, not to go viral, but to signal to heaven that you heard, that you're awake, that you agree. We find in the sacred scrolls of Deuteronomy, chapter 11, verse 27, the blessing if you obey the commands of the Lord your God that I am giving you today. It's not about how long you've waited. It's about what you do when the moment finally comes. Blessing flows where obedience goes. So respond. Comment the number 5,511 below. Not as a trend, not as a reaction, but as an agreement. 551. One is not just digits, it's a declaration. A prophetic code that says, I sense the shift. I mark the moment. I give my yes. Let this number be your spiritual witness. The fives represent grace, multiplied grace that brought you here, and grace that will carry you forward. The 11s speak of alignment and awakening, the divine order coming together after chaos. This is not superstition. It's symbolic submission. You're saying, I receive what heaven is unlocking right now. And let it be your signal in the spirit realm. Let it echo back to the angel who's been guarding your timeline. Let it say what words cannot. I hear. I see. I align. And when you mark this moment, heaven will mark it too. There is a quiet kind of wisdom that forms in those who have walked through fire and refused to come out bitter. You've been through more than most people know. You've had to endure in silence. Trust when it hurt. Believe without evidence. And hold on to promises that felt like they would never arrive. But through it all, you didn't lose your softness. You didn't lose your light. That is not weakness. That is power under control. Many would have turned cold. Many did. But you kept choosing mercy. You kept showing up. You kept choosing love over resentment, peace over revenge, obedience over comfort. And that didn't go unnoticed in heaven. In fact, those small choices were louder than most sermons. Your angel has watched it all. Watched you speak blessings over those who cursed you. Watched you release what you wanted to control. Watched you walk away from shortcuts that looked easier but would have cost your soul. These are not small things. These are markings of someone who is trusted in the spirit realm. Someone who has been tested in private and still stands with clean hands. There are levels of divine authority that are not reached through talent or gifting. They are earned through integrity in secret. And chosen one, you have passed more tests than you realize. But even now, you may wonder, why has the process been so long? Why do others rise faster? Why do I feel hidden? Because God hides what He values. When a warrior is being sharpened, they're kept in quiet places. Not because they're not ready, but because the world is not yet ready for what they carry. And when it's time, heaven will unveil what man couldn't fabricate. God doesn't rush greatness. And your angel hasn't been idle during the delay. They've been preparing your path with precision. The timing isn't late. It's layered, strategic, on purpose. What felt like silence was actually structure. What felt like delay was actually design. Sometimes, the Lord allows isolation not to punish you, but to purify your sound. You were never meant to echo the noise of the world. You were always meant to release a sound that carries weight. That kind of sound can't be rushed. It can't be taught. It can only be birthed in the tension between promise and fulfillment. And that's where you've been. In the middle ground, the place between I received it and I see it. A place that few celebrate. But heaven watches closely, because it's in this middle place that your angel fights the fiercest. Not just for your protection, but for your endurance. The most dangerous time for a chosen one is not in the battle, it's in the waiting. It's when hope stretches thin, when prayers feel unanswered, when it seems like everyone else is moving forward and you're standing still. That's where many give up. That's where many settle. But you're still here. You're still pressing, still trusting, even when your voice trembles. And that's what makes you different. That's what proves you're not just gifted, you're grounded. The Spirit spoke through the prophet Jeremiah. In chapter 17, verse 10, I, the Lord, search the heart and examine the mind, to reward each person according to their conduct, according to what their deeds deserve. Heaven doesn't measure you by applause. It measures you by posture, and your posture in private has attracted divine reward. This next season is not something you'll have to force. You won't have to beg for it, brand it, or manipulate your way into it. What's coming is not the result of your hustle, It's the result of your hidden obedience, and your angel has been guarding it carefully. You are about to step into something that others tried to imitate but couldn't carry. And it won't make sense to those who only saw your stillness, not your struggle. But that doesn't matter. What matters is that heaven knows the truth. You've been faithful, and that faithfulness is about to bear fruit. There are doors about to open for you, not because you networked, but because you nurtured what heaven gave you in the dark. There are opportunities being released, not because you demanded them, but because you demonstrated you could be trusted. You didn't need a platform to prove your calling. You let the wilderness shape your character. And now, your angel is preparing the path to your unveiling. This is what it means to be chosen, to walk with heaven's eyes upon you, even when the world looks away, to be trained in secret, to be tested when no one is watching, to be elevated in a moment. But only after being emptied through a lifetime, you're almost there. Stay low, stay pure, stay aligned. Heaven knows exactly where to find you. There is a type of clarity that only comes after chaos. You don't always receive revelation in the moment of pain, but often it arrives in the quiet that follows. And now, something is becoming clear. You were being refined, not ruined. Every detour, every disappointment, every unanswered prayer, it wasn't heaven abandoning you. It was heaven training your discernment. Because a chosen one cannot afford to see as the world sees. You've been called to perceive, to sense, to know, to move ahead of the storm. And to do that, your vision had to be cleansed. There were seasons where you prayed for breakthrough, but what God gave you instead was separation. He stripped things away. He removed people. He dismantled plans, not because he was cruel, but because he loved you too much to let you build on something unstable. You see it now, don't you? That person you were clinging to wasn't safe. That path you were pursuing would have collapsed under the weight of your future. That version of you couldn't carry the calling. Your angel didn't just protect your life, they protected your destiny. And sometimes, protection looks like loss. You thought you were being punished, but in reality, you were being preserved. It's difficult to accept in the moment. We're conditioned to believe that pain means something is wrong, but the Spirit sees deeper. God allows temporary pain to prevent permanent damage, and your angel was acting on divine instruction, even when you didn't understand it. Some of the delays in your life weren't delays at all. They were barriers set by heaven to keep you from prematurely entering spaces that would have suffocated your growth. You're not late. You're protected. What others call delay, you must begin to recognize as design. The timing of God is never random. It is surgical. And your angel has not missed a single appointment. Not one assignment has been misplaced. Not one moment has been wasted. In fact, much of what looked like wasted time was actually wartime seasons, when your angel was battling unseen forces that tried to trap you in cycles of defeat. There were traps, yes. Real, spiritual traps set to ensnare your purpose, hijack your focus, and wear down your faith. And had your angel not intervened, you would have walked straight into them. But heaven saw it before you did, and heaven stepped in. Now, the fog is lifting. You are beginning to see the patterns. You recognize how things were aligning, even in your confusion. You see now that the hand of God was never absent. He was working the entire time, just not in the way you expected. We are reminded in the words of Isaiah, Chapter 55. Verse 9. As the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts. Now, that verse is not meant to frustrate you, it's meant to free you. You are not responsible for understanding everything. You are responsible for trusting the one who does. And your angel, sent by him, knows the terrain ahead. They are not reacting to your life. They are responding to divine blueprint. So what now? Now, you trust deeper, not just when it makes sense, but especially when it doesn't, because your trust isn't in logic, it's in the Lord. Your peace isn't built on predictable outcomes. It's built on promises that were made in eternity, long before the battle began. And here's the part you may not have seen coming. The very areas where you felt the most stripped are about to be the areas where you'll be most established. Where you lost the most, you'll gain authority. Where you were silenced, you'll speak with fire. Where you were isolated, you'll be planted with impact. Why? Because heaven always returns what the enemy tried to steal but multiplied. Your angel isn't just protecting you from danger. They're escorting you into restoration. And not just any restoration, a kind that doesn't apologize for taking time. A restoration that builds slowly, deeply, permanently. One that can't be shaken by the winds of life. Because its roots were grown through fire and watered by tears. You are not fragile. You are fortified. What broke others didn't break you. What derailed others only deepened your discipline, and your angel has stayed near. Not just to guard you, but to witness the glory that's rising from what you thought was ashes. Don't despise what you didn't understand. You're now walking in the clarity that cost you everything, and that clarity is holy. It's sharp. It's sacred. Use it well. Let it guide your next steps. Let it keep you humble. Let it keep you awake. You've been refined. You've been rebuilt. You've been redirected. And now, you're ready. There comes a moment when you realize this was never just about survival, it was about stewardship. You weren't just kept alive to exist. You were preserved to carry something holy. You didn't walk through fire just to say, I made it. You walked through it because what's on your life was too costly to be carried without being refined first. And now, your angel isn't just guarding your process, they're preparing to release you into purpose. This isn't the time to shrink back. This is the moment to step fully into the calling that has been forming in the shadows. You've learned to endure. You've been faithful in the silence. You've stayed humble in the stretching. But now it's time to move forward boldly, not as a victim of life's storms, but as a trusted one, battle-tested, refined, and sent. You are more than anointed. You are assigned. There's a reason the pressure has been so intense. There's a reason the attacks felt personal. It's because you carry something that threatens the plans of darkness. You're not a bystander in this generation. You are a disruptor of cycles, a breaker of patterns, a builder of legacy. That's why your angel has fought so hard to protect you. The enemy tried to take you out early, not because you were weak, but because you were marked. Heaven never underestimated your assignment, and neither did hell. And now, chosen one, you've reached a turning point. The weight you've carried is about to be matched by the glory that follows obedience. Your angel is standing ready not to fight off another attack, but to escort you into new territory. But this won't happen by chance. It happens by agreement. You've matured too much to delay anymore. You've seen too much to pretend you're ordinary. You've survived too much to play small. It's time to move. There are people waiting for your voice. There are lives tied to your obedience. There are assignments your angel cannot release until you give heaven your yes. Then you don't need more confirmation, you need more courage. Your testimony is not random. The very things that brought you shame will become keys of deliverance in someone else's life. The patterns you broke will give others a roadmap. The tears you cried will become seeds of healing. Nothing is wasted, not even the wilderness. You weren't forgotten, you were being formed. And now that formation is turning into function. But before you move forward, let this be a moment of spiritual marking. If this word is confirming what your spirit already knows, like this message, not as a passive tap, but as a prophetic agreement, I hear you. Lord, I receive this word. Now share it with someone else who's been in hiding too long. They're not lost, they're just late in recognizing that their time has come. Be the one who pushes them forward. And if you haven't already, subscribe. Stay connected to the stream that keeps your oil full. Words like these aren't just content, they're confirmation, conviction, and covering. Don't drift away from the sound that aligns your spirit. You've felt alone in this journey, but you're not. There's a remnant rising, and you're part of it. And if this message fed your spirit, consider sowing into it, not out of obligation, but out of alignment. Your giving fuels the mission that continues to awaken the chosen. When you sow into what feeds you, you partner with what heaven is doing. Every gift, every offering is another stone laid on the path for someone else to find their way home. And yes, God sees it. Heaven records it. Your angel honors it. You are not giving to a person, you're investing in purpose. We find in the book of Proverbs, chapter 11, verse 25, a generous person will prosper. Whoever refreshes others will be refreshed. And that refreshment is not always money, it's peace, insight, clarity, protection, and divine acceleration. You've poured out. You've remained faithful when few noticed, but heaven noticed. Your angel noticed. And the reward that's coming will be more than just restoration. It will be recompense. You are not at the end. You're at a threshold. The next part of your life doesn't require you to become someone else. It just requires you to stop hiding who you already are. You are bold. You are chosen. You are needed. And your angel is ready to walk with you into what's next. So breathe deep. Stand tall. Lift your eyes. And take the first step. You've been prepared for this moment more than you know. This is not the end of your journey. It's the beginning of your release. Comment, I carry the mantle. This isn't just about acknowledging a message. It's about accepting your divine assignment. When you write this, you are declaring to heaven, I'm not shrinking. I'm not hiding. I'm ready. Your angel moves in response to your agreement. This is more than identity, it's activation. There is a silence that falls right before the shift. A stillness that doesn't feel empty, it feels charged. Like the air is holding its breath, waiting for something ancient to rise. That's where you are now, on the edge of the unseen, standing in a moment that can't be explained, but also can't be denied. You've felt it for days now, maybe weeks. A heaviness you can't name, a restlessness you can't silence. And at first, you thought something was wrong. But now you're starting to understand something is awakening. This isn't depression. It's not anxiety. It's not confusion. It's divine pressure. And your angel is right in the middle of it, orchestrating your transition from who you were into who you were always meant to become. Heaven has moved the pieces, and now your soul is catching up to the blueprint. You're not confused, you're being recalibrated. You're not exhausted, you're shedding the last layer of what's no longer needed. You're not falling apart, you're being peeled open to reveal what's eternal. There are versions of you that can't go forward, mindsets that served you in survival, but now stand in the way of destiny, responses that used to protect you, but now limit you. And your angel has been quietly walking you out of those patterns, not by force, but by holy friction. Every time you felt convicted lately, it wasn't to condemn, it was to invite you higher. You've been asking for more, but more comes with pruning. The anointing on your life has outgrown the behavior of your past. The calling has outgrown your comfort zone, and now you're being called out not to be embarrassed, but to be elevated. You've been in a place of tension between identity and assignment. You know who you are, deep down, but your environment hasn't caught up yet. You see visions that your current surroundings cannot contain. You hear truth that doesn't match your history. And your angel is building the bridge between what you believe and where you're about to go. But that transition is painful. It requires grief, the loss of old definitions, the release of familiar but limiting roles, the surrender of outdated loyalties. You are being called to step away from what once validated you, because heaven is not interested in who you were when you were still doubting. Heaven is interested in who you become when you stop waiting for permission. The world may still be trying to label you based on what you survived, but heaven is labeling you based on what you're about to lead. You've been misunderstood. Yes, but that's because the language for your life hasn't been written yet. And when you're the first in a bloodline to break through something, there are no maps. Just obedience. Just trust. Just an angel assigned to clear the fog as you walk. You're blazing a trail that doesn't exist yet. And with every step, you're making it easier for those behind you to walk freer. That's why the pressure has been heavier on you. It's not just about you. Your obedience is legacy. Your healing is generational. Your breakthrough is prophetic. And your angel has not only been guarding you, but also guarding your seed. The impact that will follow long after you're gone. It's time to stop asking, "Why me?" It's time to start saying, "Why not me?" You've already survived what was supposed to break you. You've already been trusted with pain, and you didn't waste it. You transformed it. Now, heaven trusts you with position, with visibility, with weight. But visibility isn't about spotlight, it's about function. Being seen only matters if what people see points them back to the King. And you, chosen one, have been trusted to carry that glory not for self, but for shift. The Spirit whispered through the writings in Romans, chapter 8, verse 19. For the creation waits in eager expectation for the children of God to be revealed. The world is not looking for another influencer. It's groaning for the revealed ones, the undeniably chosen, the ones who carry presence, not performance, authority, not image, depth, not noise. You don't have to announce yourself. Heaven will do that part. Your job is to be ready when it calls. So stay submitted, stay sensitive, stay steady. Because this stillness you feel is not the end, it's preparation for propulsion. Your angel is already moving. Heaven is already aligning. And your spirit is starting to realize You were born for this. This is not the finale, it's the fulfillment of a beginning you didn't realize had already started. You've been walking through seasons that didn't make sense. Enduring contradictions. Surviving internal storms. All the while wondering when your true purpose would begin. But heaven has been counting every step. Your angel has been tracing every line of your obedience. And now, it's becoming clear. It wasn't just preparation, it was positioning. What you thought was delay was actually God holding the door until you were ready to walk through it whole. Not half-healed, not striving, not pretending, but real, anchored, awakened. There is a kind of clarity that only comes after fire, and you have walked through it, not around it, not over it, but through it. That is why the weight on your life feels different now, not heavier in burden, but heavier in authority. You don't flinch the way you used to. You don't panic the way you used to. Something has shifted, because the trials didn't just test your faith, they transferred authority. What you conquered privately, you will carry publicly. You're not just someone who made it through. You are someone who now leads others out. And that's why your angel has remained close, closer than ever in recent weeks. They're not just standing guard, they're standing ready. Ready to move at heaven's command the moment you step into full agreement with who you truly are. You're not becoming, you've already become. And that's what the darkness feared. There was a moment when the battle should have taken you out, when the heartbreak should have drowned your faith, when the silence should have shattered your hope. But it didn't. You're still here, still standing, still chosen. And now, heaven is answering the endurance with elevation. Not the kind that needs a stage, but the kind that cannot be hidden. The kind of elevation that shows up in your words, in your walk, in your decisions, in your spiritual posture. You are not the same, and you're not going back. The voice of God thundered in the book of Exodus, chapter 14, verse 13. Do not be afraid. Stand firm, and you will see the deliverance the Lord will bring you today. No. And that word still echoes over your life right now. Stand firm. Because what you're about to see won't just be breakthrough, it will be deliverance. A severing of everything that's tried to follow you into this new era. You don't owe your past a second glance. You don't owe your trauma an apology. You don't owe old mindsets another opportunity to speak. This is a clean break. And your angel knows it. This is not just a moment, it's a line in the spirit. Honor you don't cross back over. From this point forward, you walk as the revealed one, no longer questioning your worth, no longer hiding your light, no longer waiting to be chosen. You've already been marked. And the most powerful thing about this moment isn't just what God is about to do for you, it's what He's about to do through you. Because when a chosen one wakes up fully to their assignment, the earth shifts. Patterns break. Chains fall. Cycles end. This isn't just about you. It never was. You were always part of something larger, something holy, something eternal. You were never just fighting for your peace. You were preparing to become a place of peace for others. You weren't just battling for freedom, you were becoming a blueprint of freedom. And now, the call is clear. It's time to walk in it. Not just with confidence, but with conviction. You carry the oil of survival. You carry the sound of obedience. You carry the eyes of someone who has seen too much to ever go back. You are not soft in the spirit. You are seasoned. You are not guessing anymore. You are grounded. You are not fragile. You are forged. And from this day forward, everything in the realm of spirit knows it. Your angel has confirmed it. Heaven has sealed it. You were not called to blend in, you were appointed to stand out. So stand. Stand in the clarity that cost you everything. Stand in the light that once terrified you. Stand in the strength that only came through surrender. You have crossed over. This is where destiny begins to manifest, not in theory, but in action. And now, everything changes. The old has no voice here. The wounds lose their power. What was once hidden is now unstoppable. Undeniable. Unshakably revealed. You've come this far, not by coincidence, but by divine guidance. Every word you just received was heaven sent, timed perfectly, spoken into the atmosphere for your ears, your spirit, your alignment. This is not entertainment. This is encounter. Now that the veil has been lifted, the call is simple. Respond. Don't let this word pass through you like another post. Let it root in you, grow in you, and awaken everything that has been lying dormant. If you know this message struck your soul, like it not just to show support, but to declare in the Spirit, I heard you, Lord. End of track. Share this with someone else who's been questioning, wandering, or growing weary. You never know who's hanging on by a thread. Your share could be the rescue. And if you haven't already, subscribe. Stay planted where the oil is flowing. These aren't just words, they are weapons. They are strategy. They are light in a dark world. Want to go deeper? Partner with the movement. Your giving isn't about money, it's about mission. Every seed sown extends the reach of this prophetic fire. You're not giving to a platform, you're investing in the awakening of the chosen. Comment below. I rise with purpose. End. Let this be your final agreement with heaven in this moment. Let your angels see it. Let the darkness hear it. You are not the same. You are rising. You are ready. You are chosen. And everything in the spirit realm knows it.